Okay, so in this video today, I want to talk a little bit about discounting and what I'm seeing going on in the marketplace right now. I'm seeing a lot of get 15% off, 10% off, 25% off, get 3 nights for the price of 2, and that kind of thing going on. And I want to talk today really about why we do this and why it might not be a good idea. So just some thoughts to think about, right? The thing is, as humans, we don't really understand, I don't think, why we choose things in the way that we do. And there's a lot of kind of underlying self-concept going on when we choose what to spend our money on and how much we're prepared to pay for something. Now, this is really unconscious, and it's all about self-image, and we buy according to our self-image. Let me ask you this. Have you ever bought a dress? I'm talking to the ladies here. Have you ever bought a dress and the price tag was like £300 or a lot of money? Let's say it was £1,000 for a dress. And then but you didn't pay £1,000 for it. Let's say that it was discounted and you got it for £200, and it was a special occasion dress. So you were prepared to pay £200, but you weren't prepared to pay £1,000. So you thought like you've got a real bargain here, right? So when you wear that dress and you go out in it and someone says, "Oh, I love your dress," you tell them, right? "Yeah, but it was £1,000 and I only paid 200 for it," or whatever it was, right? And why do we do that? Because we want our peer group to understand that we're still with them, right? Even though we're wearing this fantastic £1,000 dress, we only paid 200 for it, and it's important to us that the people around us, our peer group, understand that we're still with them, despite wearing this £1,000 dress. I hope that makes sense, right? So in our minds, we have to remain unconsciously within the sort of boundaries and the parameters of our existing peer group, because if we don't, then we risk some kind of a threat to our survival, and this is all unconscious, right? So let's get back to discounting your B&B, guest house, inn or small hotel. When you discount, you do 2 things basically. The first thing is that you undermine or you dilute the value of the offer that you normally charge full price for. Now, what that does to you internally is, only you can say, but I know what it did to me when I started to do this in the early days of running my B&B. It was kind of icky, it didn't feel good, and people, the kind of people that came, and again, this is my own experience, the kind of people that came on the discounted prices never came back. They weren't my people. They didn't buy anything else. They were just up for getting something discounted at a cheaper rate. So they could go and tell their friends that they stayed in a luxury B&B, but it only cost this. And that keeps them within the parameters and confines of their peer group, because it's all about self-image, how we see ourselves, right? Why? I mean, this is evident everywhere. Why do we have very cheap cars and very expensive cars, and everything in between, and we'll buy a car according to, what our peers drive, what our family drives, what we've always believed about ourselves that we should drive, and we won't go up a level unless we change our self-image. And then when that happens, and I've done this too, I've changed my self-image, so I know what this feels like as well. When you change your self-image and you start buying things that are more expensive or more prestigious, shall we say, than what I would normally buy, people start commenting, and it's not always fun. Now, the second thing that happens when you discount is that your offer, then your offer on your property, what you offer, we charge this for this value, gets diluted. And therefore that pushes you downwards in the value pyramid from, a high value property into a lower value property. Even if you're just doing it for, a week at a time or a month at a time or for a special event or something, you're still pushing yourself down into what we call the commodity market, or what my colleague Marie calls the meat market. You're pushing yourself down instead of maintaining your higher positioning in the marketplace. Let me ask you this, right? If you were selling, a high value car, like a Ferrari, for example, you're not trying to sell that Ferrari to somebody who wants to buy a Fiat 500, right? You're never going to do that. You're never going to persuade that person, no matter how low the Ferrari dips its price, no matter how low it goes, the person who is in the market for a Fiat 500 will never touch a Ferrari. But if they do, I've already explained this, right? But what you're doing is you are devaluing yourself in order to fit what you perceive as the market. There's a market for everybody. There's a market for all products and price points. You've only got to look around you to see how many products and price points there are in the marketplace, right? Somebody is buying all of it, but it's not the same person. It's always a different person that buys at their price point, at their level, according to their own perception of themselves, their own self-image, and where they sit in the social strata of their peer group that they want to maintain. Okay, so I guess what I want to say to you today is think very carefully about before discounting. I know that, we're living in a difficult economy, and I know the world is in a state of chaos right now, but you can hold your ground and start to attract the guests that you want to attract by maintaining your prices at all costs and even increasing them. And that's another concept that I'll talk about in another video. But that's it for today. I hope that helps you.